Hello, ladies. Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing well. I'm just going to make sure that I'm actually live in our community. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Cool. All right, I'm live. Nice to see all of you here. Oh, weird. All of the comments just popped up to me. Wow, interesting, interesting, interesting. I'm learning new things about me live every single day. I just figured out this whole scheduling thing earlier this week. So hopefully they introduce some new features like this more and more. Okay, so today I want to talk about when to go live from where. On, I think it was Tuesday or Monday. I can't remember which one. No, it was Tuesday. I spoke with you guys about utilizing Facebook's algorithm. And a lot of you asked the follow-up question of, how do I know if I should go live from my page, my professional page, my personal profile, or my group? And so I have a couple of suggestions for you surrounding that. A couple of suggestions for you surrounding that. So it depends on what your aim is. All right, so it depends on what your goal is. And it depends on kind of like where you are in your business, like if you're in the early stages, the end stages, if you have a thriving Facebook group. But whatever you choose, wherever you choose to go live, I think it's really important that you are strategic. And yes, I am a strategist, and yes, I like numbers. So that's why I'm saying that. I think that you should get the most bang for your buck, right? So you should get the most use out of your content, and where you put it matters. So I want to give you a couple suggestions about where to go live, why you want to do that, and just some things to think about, okay? So on Tuesday, I talked about the 4 things that Facebook likes, right? So Facebook likes native content. They like Facebook Live. They like sharing. And they like, what's the other thing? Native content, Facebook Live, sharing, and engagement. Gosh, how could I forget that one? That's the most obvious. They like engagement, right? Because it's not time-based anymore. It's engagement-based. So whenever you're going live, you should consider those 4 things. Other things you should consider, your personal page is going to get a heck of a lot more traffic than your professional page. So your personal profile is going to get a heck of a lot more traffic than your professional page. Your professional page, quite honestly, Facebook doesn't like. Back in the day, when pages first came out, they used to get a ton of traffic. So people who had businesses back then got a ton of traffic on their site, on their page, because back in the day, Facebook liked people's pages. They promoted them, just like how they kind of promote Facebook Live. But now that Facebook has ads, they want you to pay to play. So if you're not paying Facebook ads, you're not going to get a ton of traffic on your page. Something else to think about, going live in your group sends a notification to every single group member in your group, and that's fantastic. But it only sends a notification to people who are in your group. So going live in a group will not get you a ton of traffic if you don't have a lot of people in your group. If you're trying to grow your group, going live in it is a great idea because Facebook likes live broadcasts. So the more often you go live in your group, it creates a regularity, right? Like I go live almost every single afternoon for you guys right around this time, right? And because I do that pretty consistently, my group, the Mompreneur community, is getting boosted in the suggested groups area because of that consistency. And because, quite honestly, I've kind of like trained you guys. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. I've trained you guys to know when I go live. So like on days when I don't go live by like 4 o'clock, I actually get people from this group messaging me, being like, hey, are you going to do a Facebook Live today? Because they're anticipating it, right? So the more engagement you get and the more regular you can be with your group, the better. And engagement comes from being regular. Yeah, from being consistent. So in your group, I would recommend you do a Facebook Live every single day, if you're able to, or pick a time and a day that works for you. So I usually do Facebook Lives Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday afternoons because that works for me and it works for my schedule. And I do that really, really, really regularly. I used to do Facebook Lives every single day of the week. Monday through Sunday. And quite honestly, that didn't work for me. Coming up with all that content and taking the time to do a Facebook Live, it got to be a little much, I'll be honest. So now I just focus on quality content 3 days a week around 3:30 p.m. every single day in the week, or those 3 days of the week. So that will help you to get the most amount of engagement, and doing Facebook Lives regularly will help your group to boost in the suggested groups area on Facebook. So that's the benefit of doing Facebook Live in your community, in your group. All right, so now we have the profile, personal profile versus the professional page, right? So professional pages, if you don't have a lot of people that have liked your page, I suggest that you can think about it in two ways, one of two ways. Number one, doing a Facebook Live from there kind of boosts your page in the algorithm. And if you're not getting a ton of traffic on your page, it's a great way to get traffic. The other side of the coin is if you're doing these epic Facebook Lives and not getting a ton of traffic, you're kind of wasting your time, right? So I would test it if I were you guys. So I would take into account maybe how many likes you have, and maybe for 2 weeks you consistently do a Facebook Live from your page on certain days or every single day at a certain time, and see what happens. See if your likes increase, see if your engagement increases, see if something happens and there's a change in the numbers. If it doesn't, I wouldn't consider doing a Facebook Live from your page anymore. I've stopped doing Facebook Lives from my page because it was just like another thing I had to do during the day, and it was stressing me out. I would much rather come in here, do a Facebook Live for you guys. You guys can engage with me, develop the know, like, and trust factor, right? And really build a sense of community in here. So I've chosen to stop doing Facebook Lives on my page and do them in this group instead. And that feels good for me, and that seems to be working for me. I'm just going to go with it, right? I might go back to doing Facebook Lives on my page one day, but I'm not right now. Also, your page, if you do a Facebook Live, you could also make that into a Facebook ad through boosting. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't experimented with Facebook ads with video, but that might be a good idea to try out, because I know Facebook ads with video usually convert pretty well. So that's another idea. Another thing you could try is sharing from your page to your profile. So what you could do is you could go live on your page, say, hey, wait a second, guys, go onto the desktop version of your Facebook page and share it onto your personal page. That does two things that Facebook likes. It likes sharing, and it likes Facebook Live. That way, you're seeing it in both areas. Yeah, Marsha, I do too. I need to experiment with them. I'm going to experiment with them next week because I'm launching my Facebook ad course on the 27th. So yeah, you're right about that. I know I need to experiment with it. I'll report back what happens. So Facebook likes sharing, it likes Facebook Live. So if you share from your page onto your personal profile, that might perform really well. I would also consider doing Facebook Lives just from your personal profile, just from your page, and seeing what happens. In order to comply with Facebook's rules on your personal page, I would consider only adding value. I would actually always consider adding value, but really on your personal page, you're really going to focus on value because you don't want to get your Facebook account shut down. Technically, you're not supposed to promote your business on your personal page. I am of the opinion that as long as you're sharing value, I don't think Facebook really cares. But if you're being like super spammy and just talking about your amazing products all the time, I don't think that's going to work. And that doesn't help to build a know, like, and trust factor. Everyone's just going to be annoyed with you. So I think that it's really important. What does she say? What does that Marsha say? That's what I tend to do on the page, and then share plus is not as intimidating for a beginner when you don't see anyone watching you. Yeah, Marsha. I don't know about you, but when I don't have people watching me, I'm always like, oh no, did I say something wrong? So I actually like when I see the numbers, because then I know at least someone's kind of listening to me. So I would test, guys. I don't have like the tried and true answer for you, but I know that for me, I get more traffic when I do Facebook Lives from my profile, my personal profile. And that seems to be what works for me. You could also, yeah, you know, Marsha, I wouldn't like, there's how many Facebook users, like, are they, number one, are they really going to find you? Number two, I would approach it by just offering value up front, and not, you know, you can plug something at the end, but I would not, I mean, you don't do this anyway, so I don't think you have to be worried about that. But I would not do a super like product or service based Facebook Live from your page or your profile, your personal profile, because I don't think it's good business. It doesn't develop in a like and trust factor. And yeah, Facebook doesn't like that. You're technically violating your Facebook agreement by doing that. So I would just consider leading with value. Yeah, it does make sense, Marsha. You're right. Leading with value. So another thing you can do is also share your Facebook Live broadcast from your page into your group. And a lot of people do that because it kind of kills two birds with one stone. You're putting a Facebook Live on your page, which helps to boost that, and then your group is also getting that Facebook Live. My opinion on that is I don't think it's the most personable way to nourish your community. If someone's in your Facebook community, it's like I view it like being on your mailing list. So I think that your Facebook community should get things that your page doesn't. That's why there's an incentive to join your group, right? So I think that in your group, you should do content just for them, and then maybe on your page, drive people to your group. I think that's a good way of doing it also, because it incentivizes people to join your group. I tell you guys things I don't tell on my page. And that's because I know that it just stays in here because you aren't able to share anything in this group outside of it unless other people are a member, right? So I think it's important that, yeah, Marsha, yeah. You agree with that too. Yeah, I think it's important that we keep that in mind when we are building our community. If you want it to be a community, if you want it to be something that's super, super valuable for people to go to, if you want to be, the leader in your community, I think it's really important that you act that way. So that means you nourish your community through really valuable information, and you share information with them that maybe you're not sharing other places. And it's important that they know that, right? So by sharing into your group, I don't think that's the most genuine way of doing it. Also, speaking of sharing from your page to your profile sometimes can seem disingenuous. And I know sometimes it's viewed as being a little spammy because, again, like, why would I watch a video that's coming from your page onto your profile when I can just watch it from your page? Like there's like a level of not sincerity that comes there. So I would just try a combination of the three things. So I would try doing a Facebook Live on your page, on your profile, and then sharing from your page to your profile and seeing what happens, looking at the numbers, looking at the stats, and seeing kind of where it lies, how many people saw what, and then going from there. And I think, just because this is the way I do things, I do Facebook Lives directly on my profile and I do them directly in my group. I don't share back and forth, and I don't do any Facebook Lives on my page anymore. Just because that works for me doesn't necessarily mean that works for you. So part of getting strategic, right, of building your business strategically is trying out things and seeing what happens and testing those numbers and trying different things. For the past year, I've tried different Facebook Live formats. I've tried different ways of pitching. I've tried different ways of introducing myself. I've tried different ways of presenting information. And I found something that works for me and helps me to convert regularly through my Facebook Live broadcasts. And I think that's important. I think it's important that you figure that out for yourself. I can tell you how it converts for me or what format converts for me. But if you are not, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So you guys need to get really strategic in how you view your business and how you word things and how you organize your Facebook Live broadcasts and figure out what works for you. Because just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It's like in network marketing. I hear this all the time. Well, this top person does this, so I should do that. That doesn't mean that you should do that. That works for them because they are their own individual person. You are your own individual person. Just because that works for that person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And quite honestly, oftentimes, if there's a top person doing something some way, odds are a lot of other people are doing things that way. So you need to be different. You need to stand out in some way. And that all relates back to you. Like, you are the face of your business, right? So you need to figure out how to do things the way that you do them. And the best way to do that is to get strategic. So look at your numbers, see how things are going. And then if it's not going well, tweak and adjust. And if it's going really well, see what's got working really well and tweak and adjust to amplify that, right? So that's what I wanted to tell you guys today, to really think about, how you're sharing information on Facebook. Definitely play to the algorithm for sure. They like, remember Facebook likes engagement, native content, Facebook Live, and sharing. Forgot the other one again. So engagement, sharing, Facebook Live, native content. So I think that any sort of combination of those 4 things can really help you to use Facebook's algorithm to your advantage. So you need to tweak and adjust and play around with all of that. So I hope all that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I also wanted to tell you that after this month, I am closing down my one-on-one program. For all of Q2, so April through June, my one-on-one program is going to be non-existent. It's not going to be an offering that I have. Oh, sure, Marcia, I hope that helps. I know that was one of the questions you had. So let me know if you have any other questions about that, Marcia. So my one-on-one program for the second quarter of the year is closing down. So I am filling my last 4 slots now. And when I open the program back up in July, the price is going to be double. So if you guys have ever considered doing a one-on-one program with me, the time is now, quite honestly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my Facebook scheduler link in the comments below. If you want to talk about how one-on-one can help you, if you want to talk about some ideas I might have for your business, if you want to talk about the pain points in your business and how I can help you grow, just schedule a call with me. That's all it is a call. It's not committing you to anything. I'd be glad to hop on the phone with you, talk about your business, see if I can help you, and see if we're a good fit for one another. And then we can move forward from there. So book a call with me. Let me know what you need. Let me know how I can support you. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. All right, have a great rest of your day. I will talk with you all later.